Okay, the other thing that was very important is that plans in the future have at least a 60% actuarial value, which is kind of a, it's a pretty dry term, but basically, on average, the plan needs to pay out at least 60% of the cost of the claim that you had. And so in designing plans, we have to make sure, all insurance companies have to make sure that their plans have at least 60% actuarial value. If in fact they have below 60% actuarial value, those plans need to get swapped into something else. And so sometimes you'll hear, nationally that some people, people are getting discontinuation letters, but those people are moved from maybe a plan that has the lesser value into a plan that's a little bit better. Again, there's some essential functions or essential benefits that must be covered. As you can see, a lot of these things were already covered. In some cases, it's the comprehensiveness of what was covered. It's much more than once was. Now, it seems like I'm getting into the weeds on this a little bit, but I can guarantee you we could go on for days about this kind of stuff and you guys would just go crazy. But I just want to give you a general sense of what's happening in 2014. So there are some situations where individuals or groups need to get moved on to what we call metallic plans. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but it's basically bronze through platinum plans. Not all insurance companies are offering benefits in each of these different levels. I know we have 13 plans that we offer as an example. So traditionally we feel like we're going to be able to meet most people's needs. But these platinum plans all have different actuarial value. And again, actuarial value is the percentage of the total average cost for covered benefits that a plan will cover. So as you can imagine, as you go up, from bronze to platinum, the price goes up. Another big topic, I've been out visiting with employers since the law passed March 23rd, 2010, is to talk a lot about grandfathering. So in the state of North Dakota, our block of business, 75% of our groups are still grandfathered, and about 25% are not grandfathered anymore. And so when you heard the quote, if you like your plan, you can keep it. For employers, that was predicated on remaining grandfathered. And so those are conversations that we go out and talk about the pluses and minuses of that. And ultimately, the employer can decide what they want to do. But in order to stay grandfathered, you really cannot eliminate certain benefits off the plan. You cannot alter your deductible by a certain percentage. So I'll give you an example. Let's say an employer has a $250 deductible and they decide they can't afford that and they move it to $500 deductible. They would become non-grandfathered at that point. At that point, then we have to move to a different plan. The other thing too is if they're shifting more than 5% cost to the employee, additional cost to the employee, they can lose their grandfather status. So an example there would be an employer, let's say they're paying 100% of a single plan, and over time there's they don't feel like they can afford that and they want to move it down to 90%. That's more than a 5% shift, so therefore they'll lose their grandfather status. And the realities of that are that it's not 5% per year that they can shift, it's 5% cumulative back to 2010. So I guess conventional wisdom is that over time, more and more employers are going to have a tough time staying grandfathered. So, but there's pluses, for some of those groups that are going non-grandfathered. There'll be a whole new array of preventive benefits that Brad kind of hit on, different things like that. Some of the things that affected grandfather plans, regardless, were the lifting of lifetime maximums, which we talked about, and then one other topic was the allowing children up to age 26 to stay on. So I have a 24-year-old who's going to be 25 this Saturday, graduated from UND, good place to graduate, right? And he's got a very good job, but based on what he was paying and stuff, and the fact that I paid for family insurance where I work, he's just going to stay on my plan until he's 26, and then I told him, you got to get off. So we'll see how that goes. Subsidies, just a quick overview, because there'll be more discussion on this. The subsidies are only available through these public exchanges. So in this case, of North Dakota, it's the federal exchange. So keep that in mind. And again, it's for people with household income under 400 at the federal poverty level. The subsidy is based on the silver level. So if in fact you can get a subsidy and you decide you want to buy a better plan than that silver plan and you want to buy up to it, you can do that. It just means you'll pay that little bit more. Conversely, if your subsidy is based on the silver level and you take a bronze plan, which is not quite a good plan, then of course that will be cheaper for you. That's a choice you can make. One big key here to remember if you're working for an employer, individuals receiving affordable single coverage from an employer are not eligible for subsidies. And affordability from your employer is defined that on a single plan that you don't pay more than 9.5% of your annual income for a single plan. So, so I'll use a simple example. If an employer is paying 100% of a single rate and you're not paying anything to have a single plan, definitely affordable, and therefore you're not going to be able to go to the exchange and get a subsidy. Because one of the questions is, are you offered affordable coverage? Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, I'm sure there'll be discussion on this. The advanced premium tax credit or subsidy is based on an income estimate, so you'll be forecasting what your income might be, say, for 2014. And it's important to try to get as close as you can on that when you're forecasting it. Just to kind of recap here, individuals are eligible for the advanced premium tax credit or subsidy if they're enrolled in a qualified health plan. They lack access to other coverage that meets the ACA standards. They have projected income between 138 and 400% of federal poverty level, and then they meet various tax-based requirements, and we can go into that later. Here's the chart I was talking about. I think you'll be able to read it, but it kind of spells out the different federal poverty levels, and I think this is fairly up to date. So really, an individual making up to 45,000, almost 46,000, stands a chance, or the ability to get a subsidy. And then we always kind of cite the family of four for some reason, but so that family of four making up to 94,000 would have the ability to get a subsidy. We put a chart in here it's kind of there's a lot here, so I realize that, but what it's trying to portray is the lower you are as far as the federal poverty level, the more assistance you'll get through the advanced premium tax credit. And as you get higher up and you're closer to the 400% of the federal poverty level, in those cases, you're not going to get a whole lot of subsidy. I mean, it's tapered that way. And then at some point, after 400% of federal poverty level, you get no subsidy. So just to recap, some of the questions we ask people: are you or anyone in your household offered an employer-sponsored health plan, yes or no? And then will your portion of the premium for single coverage exceed 9.5% of your household income? Now you might wonder why we're looking at single plan, because a lot of you might have family insurance. And let's say your employer is paying 100% a single, but you've got to pay the difference to put your family on, and as we all know, that's a lot of money. But there's a safe harbor provision that the government put out where employers are to focus, as far as affordability, they're to focus on the single, what they're contributing towards a single rate. One of the things I didn't really talk about is the effects are different for different size employers. An employer under 50 in size, they really can, at this point, do what they want. If they don't want to offer benefits, they don't have to. If they want to offer benefits, that's fine. Where there's more things to keep track of, make sure they have their ducks in a row, would be the larger employers. It's critical for a large employer to make sure they're providing affordable coverage, otherwise there's some penalties involved. For a large employer that decides they just want to get out of offering benefits totally, there's penalties involved on that too. So those are the kind of things that we're visiting with employers about and just trying to make sure everybody's got an awareness of what's happening. We'll keep moving on here, and then we'll open up to questions when we get done here.
I'm just going to interject before Kim and Pam speak. Something I forgot. At the risk of sounding like an absent-minded professor from UND, oh, I guess I am an absent-minded professor from UND. Two really important things that I should have mentioned. If you are Medicare, if you are on Medicare right now, and you're getting very concerned about everything that's being said tonight with regard to the health insurance marketplace, and what does this mean for you, it doesn't mean anything for you. You don't have to worry. Medicare doesn't change. You don't have to go into the marketplace and start trying to get an individual health plan. So if you're on Medicare, don't worry. The other thing, and I think this is important too, because we have heard stories about this, if you're on Medicare and the phone rings and you pick it up one night and somebody with a very nice voice is offering to sell you for a certain price, sell you assistance to help you as a Medicare recipient navigate the health marketplace, just hang up, because you don't need that person. That's just people out there that are trying to make money. As good North Dakotans, you actually probably won't hang up. I'm sure you'll say, well, I'm not very interested, thank you very much, good night. So I'm sure you would play. But anyway, there's scams, there will be scams, don't let people fool you. And again, if you're on Medicare, don't worry, the health marketplace, it doesn't have an impact on you, things stay the same. Now,